Hi, welcome to Strange Talk with Chris. This is the Book of Chris now, is what I'm calling it, since I as well be writing these videos up like a book, right? It's coming out of my mind. So, just wanted to um, say that my message to the Jews, and then just a quick message there, just to get everybody's attention, and then I'll get on to everybody. I wanted to know. Um, How come, if you believe that you preach that you believe in the same God as Christian Jews and other Christians do, how come you didn't believe that your same God actually sent his son Jesus at that time? That's my question for them, because they believe in the same exact God as Christians. Christians believe in the same exact God, likewise to the Jew. So I just wanted to get that out of the question. And now I'm going to explain that I was watching Ancient Aliens yesterday, and I have a doozy of a video for you today. Um, I just wanted to say that if you research here on the internet, it's really good, and you can reference back to your Bible and go into the scriptures. But um, there was no other human life forms anywhere in the Bible. Does the Bible talk about there being another society of people? That is not true. When Cain killed Abel and he was sent out to the land of what was the name of it? There's a specific name. I'm sorry. I have to look at it and see. The land of Nod, right? Does it say that anywhere? He was cast in. He was cast into. He was cast into the land of Nod, and then he named the city. What this is what the search engine came up with, and I believe them. And like I said, I urge everybody, if you really want to know, reference your Bible. But it basically told me, I believed it where I didn't need to go reference in my Bible. It just told me that no, there was no other place. The Bible doesn't want to be too specific about the incident, but it was an incest type of moment. It was, and it wouldn't be considered incest at that time because there was no other other people that could create other human beings other than the children from Adam and Eve. And that's what the Bible says happened. And then they got to a point where people didn't have to marry their sister or whatever in order to establish societies. So from that point on, it once it became clear that people didn't have to do that anymore, then it became incest and an abomination like homosexuality and bestiality, but not has ever homosexuality and bestiality been okay. And there was only, like I said, specific times um, after the Great Flood would have been one, depending on what all the circumstances are. You'll have to look in the Bible, and they also were saying that you have to look deeper for the names of women. I was kind of wondering that myself before it actually said that. So it's kind of ironic, I guess, but I was wondering how come they were talking about the men more than they were talking about the women, but that's not true. The Bible mentions their names, and it talks about the women at various points. You just have to be a firm believer in the Bible, uh, or say dedicated reader to the Bible. You have to subscribe to reading it every day and read the whole thing in order to see that what I said is true. And just keep in mind that the Bible is for religious people to go to and to help them understand their roots and their origin and their understanding of their creator, who calls himself their father, not their creator. So he's like your dad, right? Your spirits, he owns your spirit, so it's ultimately up to him what um, he's gonna do with your spirit, depending on what you do. And we got he put us into a position where the devil was able to manipulate us, but as being a military brat, I came accustomed to hearing the words a lot. That mine is not to question why, mine is just to do or die, and that um, uh, comes down to being significant when you do talk about good and evil, and everybody knows that there is either you're on the good side or you're on the evil side. So, um, and people can be made out to look evil or good, and I would definitely consider where America has come from and what it's been established doing is not the evil perpetrator that they would make people out to believe that they are, you know. So I would say they're darned if they do and they're darned if they don't. And that's an American struggle until we can basically cut out all evil people that would stab you in the back, that didn't take it serious if they screwed you over, that some serious consequence was going to happen to them. You know, a lot like Sharia law or whatever, but it'd be like a biblical Christian consequence that people would have to abide by. So I wouldn't question taking a like a vote or anything like that. Everybody here knows right from wrong, so I don't really have to sit here and grill anybody. When judgment day and the time comes, every man will have to be accountable for their own actions and their own self. So I have one up on everybody else with that knowledge that I'm armed with, that I know that not at the end of the day, throughout the whole entire day, I have to check myself. I get mad and I'm human just like everybody else. And I show my butt. But um, all I can say is, like I said, there's a difference between good and evil. And if your intentions are wrong, they need to be addressed and met up front, face to face, with good men with only good intentions to be able to stop, restrain, and do something with these people. And I'm not I'm not sure exactly, I'm not the authorities, but I would not be say I wouldn't be like negative to the notion of maybe um if they know for a fact that they're gay, the person said they are, or said that they committed some kind of um, sin or an abomination like that, like slept with a dog or a cat or something like that, bestiality, incest. Maybe they should be euthanized. We're gonna get into a little bit of the. We're gonna talk about the Antichrist a little bit later on in this. But I kind of wanted to, I wanted to ask if anybody was following what the Bible might suggest the Antichrist is. I wanted to look at synthetic human beings who they're calling clones or synthetic. And I want to point out that the devil, I believe, has to be able to come in a in a soulless body. So he has to be able to come in and take over and command a body that doesn't have a soul from birth. Because children are people. That's why I want or think now that it'd be better if our authorities just took gay people and sinners out and just killed them, is because um, basically what it is the devil is in the spirit world and he cannot physically like manifest into a form or come to somebody under a certain age, under like 13 or somewhere. I think it's more like 18 or 21, maybe even, or maybe even 25 now. How old do you think a person, a human, is before they're old enough to be held accountable for all that they've done? When they're really more and more immature, like children lately. So, all I can tell you is the devil can't really come in and manipulate children like that. He has to do it through human beings. So he finds error and fault in people, and whenever they're susceptible to that, they're susceptible to allowing the spirit world to come in and command these people who are the only ones that are capable of getting directly through to children and corrupting children before a certain age and making them do things that an innocent person should be nowhere near around or even knowledgeable of. Um, the devil can't basically do it his own self. So I take it that personal with people now, and it took a while for me to really wake up and feel that way and have that notion. And not only that, but you have a president who placates to terrorists and terrorism, and they kill people who are gay by hanging them. If they find out you're gay, over in Iran or anywhere else where they're making deal with these people, they think that that's the solution. Um, they are obviously probably planning on trying to take over Iran, Obama himself or whoever, if they can strike some kind of deal, because they want to, speaking of at the end of the day, at the end of every day, those liberals in Washington and their leader, Obama, is not our leader, but he wants to control the show and tell everybody what they can do, and it doesn't just stop with Americans. This political thing is drawn out. So someone will say, oh, well, that's constitutional, or this is whatever that, and it's not. It's all too biblical. It goes right into what the Bible says. So you can pay attention and you can fight and you can resist. And there's things that you can do. You can't just say, I washed my hands of that, even though your hands are still dirty. You got to um, be able to understand what refrain means and how to do that. And now's the time. Now's the time to at least separate ourselves with those people. And I heard that they're telling some preachers. I told people, and one in my media outlet, I believe, that they were going to eventually start dictating to pastors, preachers, and churches. And now they're doing it. They're going to tell. What I said was they were going to close churches if they didn't perform these gay rituals that are basically like a sacrifice, or it's a morbid desecration to your body. It's supposed to be a temple of God, and the state wants to now be able to come in and manipulate to a church and tell a church that it has to perform it. But that's what I said, and that was my opinion of all of this, and that was even before the ruling, way before that. I said, if you keep pushing this thing, that's what the government is going to try and say they have the right to do. And they're taking people's constitution, more people, that they say. So if they want to say that the Christians are the minority, not the minority, I'm sorry, but um the other side, they're the main population or whatever they want to say, um then you just basically went against all those millions and millions of people's constitutional rights that they have, and then you just told them that their country wasn't a Christian nation anymore. Um, you told them all of this biblical stuff just so that you can make a haven for sin and sinners and people to lust in. And right now, I believe that it is true that if you have an evil thought against another person, I guess you can try and justify it if you want, if it's not making an excuse, or act like you're making an excuse if you want. But if you have an evil thought towards another person, then you need to check yourself and change that. And say, like, if um, you know, I wanted to be an explorer, and then all of a sudden I was great at it though. I was I was one of the best, but I was unheard of, um, and people didn't know of me. But then all of a sudden, here comes this guy, and he's super popular at it. Instead of me being happy for the explorer, I was jealous and envious. That right there is a sin. So you have to check yourself. Everybody has to check ourselves and change our ways from that, you know? And if you have a thought of any kind of sin at all, you need to realize that. And you need to be able to hold yourself accountable before God does. So, um, so all I can say is I watch Ancient Aliens. My father, my dad tells me he doesn't watch that because he doesn't want it to, he doesn't want to hear all this crap that he doesn't believe in, because we believe all that stuff is a great lie, a great deceit by the devil. He went all around the world and deceived all these people. So I I didn't argue with him, but I just say, well, I watch the Ancient Alien show so I can hear and understand what they're trying to say about this thing. But I'm not really trying to go out there and have my mind deceived and my mind, you know, kind of put into some other kind of perspective whenever there could be 10 or 100 or even 1,000 different perspectives that you can put possibly any of that crap in. And you can sit there all day and make just, potential, hey man, this is potentially where this, and this and this. I just, I believe what I believe. Um, that it was a great deceit. If they were acting like they came from the sky, and came to Earth. There's a dark side of the moon that they we must have explored it before, and obviously there's something dark, mysterious, odd, and scary even about the place, so we don't even talk about it. And here we are. It was a race of beings that takes a zillion light years to get here, but they can warp speed here through a zip tunnel through time, and you know, and it's not the devil. They don't put that into perspective at all, right? I'm putting that into perspective that it was the devil, and he had this weird technology, and I seen a pyramid. So all of the people that went around the world and had got to see the pyramid ruins in South America, and Egypt and all over the world and stuff. I kind of admire those people, any of them, for having the chance to have gone there and be an explorer. Talk about not being jealous or envious of other people. That's me. When I look at other people, I just am like, oh man, I wish I could have gone with that person or persons when they went, and that's that's basically how I've always looked at it. But I got to see something different that I could not take other people, human beings, to see at the time when I saw it, and it was it was a brand new pyramid, and it came. My friend was with me. He pointed it out to me. We were trying to rest up at this school. We were just chilling for a moment. I wanted to relax and kill some time before we headed off to my house. This is when I was in my 20s, I guess. I was much younger, and it was in the late 90s. And I didn't document any of it because it wasn't that it wasn't important to me. It just, for some reason, it did not ever, you know, shock me. It wasn't like something that made me on edge or think like, oh my gosh, I gotta tell somebody about this UFO thing or this vision or whatever that was too real, that came in out into focus from out of the clouds to where you could see it, and it from however far and close it ever came, it was highly aware of us the entire time. What we were looking right at the thing and knew it. So it played tricks on our minds, and I uploaded a video on that and explained that whole thing. But it was like an Egyptian pyramid. So I have no idea what part of any of those pyramids would have ever flown, but it put into my opinion that they had to have flown before, because that's what I saw was a UFO, um, brand new, black. It was um, like shiny, basically, not like it shined in your face and blinded you or anything. It was just bling bling, is how I can, you ever heard bling bling or whatever? It was spitting brand new bling bling like that, like the Egyptian pyramids. And that's what it looked like. And so the more I think about it, the more I think, well, there was something um, that could be pretty dangerous that we were encountered with. So for whatever reason, it didn't. Maybe it didn't have any power over us, because I don't remember any. Um, if there was like time lost or whatever, I don't remember being inside this thing or being zipped away or it taking us any place. All I remember is, for whatever reason, whatever it was, if it's the government, it has some kind of soundproof equipment that flies like that or something. They just came to screw with their minds. It just, I kind of let it go. I didn't, when we left, I don't know what my friend's feelings were. I didn't really talk to him about it when we left there. It was we probably were like, wow, man, talking about it all, kind of like excited, but we didn't stop and talk to anybody. We just kept on going, and we didn't ever really say. I've told a couple of different people, but I wasn't ever this out front about the thing. And yeah, like I said, and from then on, we didn't really communicate about the thing at all. We just kind of let it go. So, anyways, so Cain went to the land of Nod. The Bible, it has no place in there, nowhere at all, does the Bible say that Cain ran into another civilization. He went to the land of Nod, and then he named the first city there out of the land of Nod, Enoch, after his son Enoch. And that's what the Bible says. I did a search engine, and that's what it said. So I wanted to talk about what a coinky dink that was. Okay. GRGO. GRGO. Oh, dude, I screwed up. I screwed this one up because I was going to do that one with my hair all up in the hair. I was going to go. Look at what I found. I found some amazing stuff. So, anyhow, I wanted to talk about Darwin. Darwin was the type of person that was so passionate about what he thought and believed that he could not really take a breather or a moment and stop and really think, come back and give other people's credence and other people's thought. He was determined and danged, you know what I mean? That what he was saying was, oh my goodness, talk about abominations. It's an abomination to have a separate thought than another thought when a person wants to try to outthink you, and then you think there's something to think about the thing whenever you're thinking like that. It's just ridiculous the way people think. When they think differently than the way that you think, it's just impressionable. I mean, impressionable. And so Darwin was definitely that kind of person. So you could be passionate about it, about what you believe. I'm passionate about what Jesus Christ told, what he taught, and what he said. That is what I am most passionate about. And I will calmly have a conversation with anybody about it. And when somebody says that, I say, well, if society wanted to punish people to death like they did back in the day for being a homosexual, I will step back and I will look away. That's how I'll explain that one if I have to. Because you have terrorists attacking people who are very moral and very traditional and don't do any of that stuff on the normal, that are Marines and other Army, Navy, and Air Force, Coast Guard, you name it, all those people, the recruiters and our military, they're all taking the brunt for our supposed sins that we commit over here. So I believe that people should be put to death if our military is keep on getting killed. And the liberals, they only want to cater to the terrorists to kill our troops more. That's going to leave all of them. If our troops were all gone, it would leave all of these people and us to have almost nowhere to hide and have to run and hide and find a place safe up in the mountains and the hills and get away from society and live out like native people and tribes out in the wild, in the wilderness, in order to get away from all the liberalism. If all of the conservative, traditional, straight up people were gone, like they want, they just want to get rid of us, they would have to take care of their own self And then you would see some crazy stuff. And like I said, Obama forced this conversation. He's the type of person that wants to push politics. And he did say the other day that we will have to change the way some people think religiously. And if that isn't the evilest, like, notion of communist, dictatorship, um, is that demagogue? I would definitely think it's where your society overrules God's authority and just says everybody has to be a dang communist, and we don't believe. We don't believe. That's what your society turns into at that point. And they're allowing our guys to be killed by religious fanatics who hate gay people, who hate fornication, hate all this other stuff. Act like they hate rape too, but that's just an act because obviously in Sharia law it takes 3 male witnesses to come forward to have a male who raped a woman there punished. And if the girl gets found out she was raped, usually she gets scorned or killed. And that's how their lives are completely off the chain. So I'm asking upon atheists again, if you're watching and you're paying attention. I want to know, where ever did Jesus ever um, indicate deception, or that he was a deception or a fraud, and make you actually think that Christ was actually a deceiver? Because it clearly points out, and the Satanists will even tell you, yeah, yeah, the laugh, like that, yeah, Satan, he's the great deceiver. Like they've got to bring you in and suck you in, because we've all got to deceive these evil Christians and other people over here. This deceit. Deceit is deceit. A lie is a lie, and a thief is a thief. There's no difference between all of them. So what we're asking for all people to walk away from that stuff. And once you are, then we recognize and we will protect people, if they walk away from those sins and they give their life to Christ, and they walk away and they come out of Babylon. Then I'm on your side, and then I'm ready to stand up for what's right in your religious rights, and to speak your mind and say what you think is right. So that's what we say. We want people to have the opportunity still to be conscious and to grow in consciousness through Christianity. So explain what I agree with. Okay, well, like people, people like will flock to when somebody's doing. They have demonic influence, and they're doing a show, and they're doing one of these magic tricks, and there's no way you can explain the magic trick and what this person just did, okay, on the cover, without saying that's got to be photoshopped. The people in the audience had to have been in on the trick, and instead of coming out and saying, "Oh yeah, it was just a trick," and we acted like it was, really happened or whatever. If it really happened in people's face like that, it's demonic. So people are like, "Whoa, yo, I do it myself." I'm like, "Whoa, that's kind of crazy," Watching this stuff, I didn't give up myself, my soul, and my life, and want to perform, whether it be art or whatever, deception, with demonic activity. So people will sit there and they'll clap to that, but then they'll say, well, this is the reason why I can't perform magic in the name of Christ like that, is because I'm not a deceiver. I'm here to tell you the truth, and I'm not here to lie to you or beat around the bush with everybody else in the world here. I'm here to be Straight up forward with you. Straightforward with you. So, people will let their minds be blown by a trick, by a deceit, by being tricked and deceived by a trick. It's called a trick, but yet they won't give their hearts to the Lord, who is not trying to trick them or deceive them in any way. And I don't really know why, but there's another thing um, where they will explain that there's no explanation. Geology can't explain it. So all I'm saying is, well, religions explain it, cultures explain it. People are telling you an explanation, and I'm just saying that the devil had phenomenal technology, was really the devil. I don't know who else, why you wouldn't take that into consideration. Really think it was an advanced society and race of beings that look like all of these crazy demons actually come out like demons with horns on them. And there's other phenomenon that can't be explained. So we're doing this strange phenomenon, the Book of Christopher now. And it's a phenomenon. It's a mystery. What do you know? What do you think you know? So moving on here, I believe that we explained a lot. We talked about Cain, and Abel. Later on, Eve gave birth to another son that God gave her, and at those times, God had a direct communication with them. So you talk about beating around the bush. So God would, um, he wouldn't leave necessarily. He just would play like along, like he would appear and then disappear and wasn't paying attention to everything, but was actually sitting back and letting all these things, encounters happen. So the deceit came. So now people have to be able to decipher between what kind of a message they're getting through either the truth or being deceived. And that comes from basically the very beginning of mankind. The Bible does not talk about any other races of people until after the fallen angels have mated with other human beings. And people were living, it said that Adam lived 130, 30 something years or something like that, is what it said. But um, people were living a phenomenal amount of time back then. They were living, um, the person, the oldest person in the world, this person. Yeah, I should know this guy's name. In the Bible, Methuselah. Yeah, because what a name like Methuselah. He was actually the son of Enoch, and there was another son that was the son of the other son that replaced Abel, I was saying, and his son was named Enosh, it was saying. But Methuselah, he was was the son of Enoch. And he lived to be 969 years in age. Methuselah did. So think about all of the time and people that he would have been able to bless the earth with, being alive that long, being that religious and that faithful in God. So whenever you're thinking about that, it, also how the way that they treated other people, to make it sound like Abel was just an abomination himself, and that wasn't necessarily the case. They still, I would say, looked over Cain, even though he was the first murderer and did that. He wasn't. I don't believe he was basically doomed to hell for eternity for that, but he was punished. So that was a time when God could also punish people. But um, anyhow, that's how that goes. So I wanted to talk about human beings and like bionicle arms. Like say when you have a limb, arm or leg amputated, something happens, traumatic or whatever the case, or you're born without it. If they put one on a mechanical feature to you, it is an elaborate creation. It's not something that just comes up out of nowhere. So some things might be manipulated, maybe what some people will call evolution manipulates to certain animals that lose its tail, like a lizard loses its tail as a quick release tail and then grows another one. That's a maybe a feature like our hair. Our hair keeps growing, we cut it, comes back. Um, but I just wanted to know or ask how many people, after all the time that the devil had, if he had these sick demonic labs, and he also had was capable had the capabilities of phenomenal extraterrestrial, you would call it, knowledge, how to manipulate, let's say, the DNA and the names for all this stuff. Maybe he's the father of all the seed to all the thoughts of how they named DNA and how they named all the stuff that comes along. But how do you not figure that the devil, with all that time being around, that he would not have manipulated things to distract humans from God more in different ways like that, with, say, through evolution, what you call evolution, he tampers with them because the Bible describes bestiality and other things like that, and that I believe what I believe it might be things to come in the tribulation for a short time while that happens, and everybody just loses it and they're just sinful and off the hinge, completely distracted, and take their focus away from God. That um, uh, basically um, they are um, that it was ever not, that the devil didn't have the opportunity to manipulate all these stuff, isolate an island. They were talking about, oh well, this island has these creatures that have never evolved and never did this or that, and they're separating away from all these other people, and they explain how all this evolution happens. But remember what I said, Darwin was the type of person that was was so into what he was saying, fanatic about what he believed, that he was also a type of person, stop it, go lay down, that would deceive you just to get his thought or point across, just so that he could make himself look solid. Man did not have any manipulation. If it was, it wasn't natural, and that's what the Bible was talking about. And I believe what I was saying was, I think that they're going to maybe have a beast, human type of beast, where they have a buffalo head in a human body, like the Taurus or whatever. Those things come in Greek mythology or whatever, all that other hypothetical stuff. You can look at it like it was real, but it's still hypothetical. Jesus is real. You want to talk about real? He was a real person that really performed miracles while he was here and didn't deceive anybody. But I think that, in my opinion, I don't know it for a fact, but I think that the devil will, um, because the Bible is so emphatic about bestiality is so wrong and homosexuality is wrong, that maybe there is some way that they can have a, you know, something born out of it. So you're going to have something born like a sheep's head, goat head, human. It's got a head of a goat and a body of a person. So they're tampering with DNA. So I don't know that you can really believe in evolution either and be a Christian. I guess you can try, but I believe that that is a lie, and I just debunked evolution entirely. It's not. It's false. It's false. It's a false representation of humanity and of existence. It's not. It's unhuman. It's unnatural. The natural elements would have had either a couple of different types of species, and whatever else your evolution would have evolved due to the conditions or where people or animals exist in their locations, and how where they inhabit areas, their bodies or whatever would have to change for that. So I guess you can call that evolution, but evolution, I was thinking about it, it also sounds like the word evil. So it's almost like it was a derived name to put evil into your mind, maybe, and make you think evil. Evolution, oh yeah, that's some, mysterious thought that I must have, you know. So it's not mine to question why, it's just mine to do or die, and I know that I'm more powerful in the name of Christ than I ever would be in the name of Lucifer or in the name of evil. So if you want to put it in the name of good, whatever suits your fancy, right? So the false representatives, I want to talk about that for a second. False representatives will come and they will teach some of this false doctrine, and they're going to be in the shape of whatever we're comfortable with, face to face, talking to. So in whatever culture and religion, they're going to have to send a representative in that form. Or when the Antichrist comes here, he's going to have to go and talk with every, like the Buddhist leader and the Catholic leader and all of those world religion leaders will have to talk to him individually in order to make the one world religion. They're talking about the New World Order and the one world religion. We're calling it the New World Religion. The New World Religion. It's bad. It's saying that you can be evil. So I guess it would also be credence to people also trying to do things evil and try and get away with it. So instead of living upright and trying to be honest with yourself and with other people and be a decent human being, it's going to have you be a person that's susceptible to all kinds of manipulations from yourself and from others, to do unto them as they would have unto you, on doing to others as they do to you. It is that perspective exactly. So I'm gonna do a little bit more research on this, and I'll add. What I was looking for was when does the one world leader come to power? Because there during the tribulation, there's two prophets that come that preach through half of that time. So there's going to be a lot of crazy things happening, and still every day more and more questions for people to ask and pay attention to. Getting closer also to the point in time where you will have to show your faith to either Satan or Christ. And that's what is going to come down to. And that's when I believe the Jews will finally make that determination. When I asked them that question earlier, whenever it comes down to it, that's when they're going to realize Jesus was the real Messiah, Son of God, and they'll convert. And then they will be basically purified, clean, and they'll be separate from Babylon, and they'll be able to basically be stronger and mightier, I believe, than they ever had been before. And they have been very mighty and strong and showed it very much so throughout time. And also a weak side, but I believe they have their most strongest side to show yet. So when does the one world leader come into power? That's would be a question that we're still going to follow and try and pay attention. So I'm going to circle it. Instead of highlighting it, I'm going to circle it, put it on there, and that's going to be my question. Okay, I'm a YouTube partner, and the thing even says that I am for what I do here. So all I know is that when the YouTube lets me upload these videos for the time that I need to air it until I'm finished saying what I have to say, it doesn't give me or anybody else a religious slot. It gives news, politics, gaming. It gives sports. It gives entertainment. It gives maybe family. I'm not sure, but it gives a whole host of different things like that that you can basically categorize your video in, but it doesn't give a religious one. So I just wanted to say that in this video that it's kind of a little bit bizarre, seeing as how there is an extreme amount of religious videos up on YouTube. Just saying. Oh, yeah, demons had the technology, flew around during man's early years. And how did you say they wouldn't manipulate evolution? So that was my other question that I asked. How do you know that the devil didn't come in, fly in from outer space, and then whenever he flew away and just disappeared and acted like he wasn't going anywhere? You sure they're not going to the dark side of the moon? And are you sure it wasn't a demon? And are you sure you want to find out if it really was a demon? I'm telling you, you don't want to talk to it and you don't want to encounter the thing. You want to keep it away from you, and you want others to be able to have other spiritual connections protect you. And what the Bible says that we're supposed to do is we're supposed to um, control our own actions. So the devil or whatever, these people normally cannot, when they're manipulating your mind and they're controlling you and they're doing this and that to you, they're only able to put in like the devil on one shoulder and the angel on the other, able to manipulate. Oh, do it. Oh, you know that would be really really good if you were to steal that little kid's ice cream cone, and I mean, and then put this like evil thought into your mind. But They can't make you act. You are the one that is responsible for actually doing the act. So you have to help have religion and faith and other things help keep you protected and keep us protected. And know your own strength. Know that you are very strong. So we want to circle that. When does the one world leader guy, the actual antichrist guy, come in? Did you know that they kill the two prophets that come back after 3.5 years of preaching Christianity, and they kill him, and he's gone. They're gone for 3 days, and then they come back, and then there's some point in time when people are forced to either be killed or take the mark of the beast, and that's going to be like the law of the land. You want to talk about the Supreme Court getting out of hand? It's going to be like the whole government and the Supreme Court, and everybody's all for it. All, yeah, that's how they're going to work their money system too, like your credit cards, and whenever you get paid at your job and stuff. Stop it, stupids. So they'll go on your chip, your mark of the beast, that they're going to force at some point in time people to take. Oh, so a message to newcomers and people listening. If you listen to this whole entire video and don't think it's ridiculous, here's some more great advice from yours truly, Christopher. Christopher knows and believes that the true prosperity to find in a relationship, or say the best relationship that you can find with another human being while I still am alone, would still be seeking to try and find, and would prefer to be alone unless I found the woman who would be like the woman of your dreams. Is basically what I'm telling you. Is you have to find the woman who um is in your mind. She not in your mind. She doesn't possess your mind. She goes along with what your mind is thinking. And it's not really advice for irrational people. People who act stupid and are ridiculous and act childish. My advice to you is to grow up, but sincerely, you're not going to have a good relationship with another person unless you think alike. So, Christians in particular, if you marry somebody that's not a Christian, I don't think that you're going to find yourself in the best of relationships. And there it is. That's my entire video. I'm out of material now. So the next video I upload is going to be all consisted of things that I'll have to come up with in the future. So anyways, watch this. I appreciate it. Thanks.